All right, everybody, a lot to get to. Welcome to the program. The NBA postseason is underway. It is here, ladies and gentlemen, and certainly there's a lot to go over. So let's get right to it. So let's start off just to kind of give you a recap of what has happened and where we currently are thus far. So let's start off. Of course, we had the NBA play-in tournament where we had the Orlando Magic taking on the Atlanta Hawks. Orlando would beat Atlanta, giving Orlando the number 7 seed. The Chicago Bulls took on the Miami Heat. Miami would beat Chicago, so Orlando would get the 7th seed. Atlanta, with them losing, they would get the winner out of the Chicago and Miami game for the 8th spot. So we had Atlanta take on Miami, and Miami would win in overtime 123 to 114, giving Miami the number 8 seed in the playoffs. So the 7th seed belonged to Orlando and the 8th seed belonged to Miami in the Eastern Conference. Let's move over now to the Western Conference portion of the play-in tournament. We had Golden State take on Memphis. It was a close game. Golden State would win 121 to 116. So with Memphis losing that play-in game, Memphis would get the winner out of Sacramento and Dallas. The Mavericks and the Kings faced off. Dallas would win 120 to 106. So we had the deciding game who would get the final seed in the Western Conference. Memphis would beat Dallas 120 to 106. So that would give Golden State the 7th seed in the West and Memphis the number 8 seed in the West. So let's take you now to the playoffs. So in the first round, the Cleveland Cavaliers took on the Miami Heat. This was this series was filled with total domination by the Cleveland Cavaliers. Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jarrett Allen, how about Ty Jerome? You talk about sharp shooting from Ty Jerome. I mean, everybody just clicked on all cylinders on both sides of the ball for the Cavaliers as they would sweep the Miami Heat 4-0 to move on to the conference semifinals. The Indiana Pacers took on the Milwaukee Bucks. The 5th game between the Pacers and the Bucks, of course, Milwaukee forced the overtime. Milwaukee had a lead going into overtime, but man, you talk about a reversal of fortune. You talk about tanking a game or letting one slip away literally and figuratively. The Indiana Pacers with their sharp shooting, and of course Tyrese Halliburton making a layup with less than 2 seconds left in the game. The Pacers come from behind to beat the Bucks in overtime to win 119 to 118 to win the series 4-1. However, what's recently taking attention is not so much with the Pacers winning the series, but at the end with Tyrese Halliburton's dad, John, getting on the court, taunting Milwaukee's Giannis Antetokounmpo, waving a towel in front of his face. Of course, the towel had his son Tyrese's face on it. Then there was reports that John had used harsh words, had used curse words at Giannis, and again, that was just an unfortunate situation, just a bad situation on all corners. And then later, John apologized on social media for his actions, and even Tyrese at the post-game press conference, he had to put his own father in check, which is so sad when, a child has to put a parent in place, man. But sometimes those things happen and you have to do what you have to do. And just if you know about Giannis Antetokounmpo, just a classy guy on all cylinders and just somebody as his class personified, win with grace, lose with grace. But nevertheless, the Indiana Pacers beat the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 games, 4-1. So that sets the stage for the conference semifinal matchup in the second round in the Eastern Conference between the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers. We had the Boston Celtics take on the Orlando Magic. Boston, the defending champions, handled their business in the 5th game. Jason Tatum doing what Jason Tatum does best, right? Get buckets. Jaylen Brown doing what he does best, right? That depth, that whole nucleus that Boston currently has with Peyton Pritchard, also Al Horford, KP, Kristaps Porzingis took a nasty hit during the series, but he is about as tough as they come. Boston ends the series beating the Orlando Magic in 5 games. So Boston advances to the conference semifinals, and they will face the winner out of the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons series. Detroit forces a game 6. It heads back to the Motor City. And when you think of Knicks and Pistons, man, since the 80s, that that rivalry has been really intense, and this is a rivalry renewed that we're seeing in the playoffs this year. So as I stated earlier, Boston will face the winner out of the New York and Detroit series. So let's move over now to the Western Conference. We've got one series that's already been completed. That's the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Memphis Grizzlies. The Thunder, so consistent, so good, too much depth, just too much basketball for the Memphis Grizzlies to handle. As the Oklahoma City Thunder, they sweep the Memphis Grizzlies 4 games to nothing. And Oklahoma City will face the winner out of the Denver Nuggets and Los Angeles Clippers series. Currently, the series shifts back to Los Angeles for game 6, with Denver having the opportunity to close out the series. And then we have the Los Angeles Lakers going up against the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have an opportunity to close out the series as the series shifts back to Los Angeles. A lot of questions if LA loses this one. What's going to happen? In the offseason, we know LeBron, he's contractually obligated. We know Luka, but what about the bench? Will they make the effort? The Lakers make the effort in the offseason to get a center? Is Jackson Hayes the answer? Will they improve on the bench? We know Rui Hachimura and Austin Reeves, they've played pretty well in this playoff series thus far, but man, if anything, the Lakers would have to improve their depth in their bench. And then also we've got the Houston and the Golden State series. The Warriors have a chance to wrap up the series as the series shifts back to Houston. Again, the Warriors have a series lead of 3 games to 1. Steph Curry, solid. Draymond Green and his defense, man, he can't be touched. But how about Jimmy Butler? The Golden State Warriors were really the winners of the second half of the NBA season. We talk about Luka Doncic and the Los Angeles Lakers. Yeah, they won big time too, but man, the Warriors have won big time, not just with landing Jimmy Butler, aka Jimmy Buckets, aka Playoff Jimmy. And Playoff Jimmy showed up in this last game since he returning from an injury. He suffered a pelvic contusion, but anyway, that's where we stand right now. So again, as far as the Eastern Conference is concerned, Cleveland and Indiana will play in the second round, and Boston awaits the winner out of New York and Detroit. And as for the Western Conference, Oklahoma City will play the winner out of Denver and the Clippers, and the winner out of the Lakers and the Timberwolves will take on the winner out of Houston and Golden State. So the NBA playoffs, they are hot, they are heavy, man, and we have had some barn burners where we have had some deciding games indeed. All right, so while the NBA playoffs are hot and heavy right now, let's bring you some of the award winners that we have so far in this 2024-2025 NBA season. So the Defensive Player of the Year award winner is Evan Mobley from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Congratulations to him. Evan, you talk about one of the best, not just defenders in the league, but one of the rising young stars in the league. And certainly Cleveland had a phenomenal year this year. In part, one of the key components to the success of the Cavaliers is Evan Mobley. So again, congratulations to him on winning the Defensive Player of the Year award. Stephon Castle from the San Antonio Spurs wins Rookie of the Year. From the Boston Celtics, Peyton Pritchard wins the Sixth Man of the Year award. You talk about a team just in their championship nucleus, a team that's just filled with so much depth on that roster. Peyton Pritchard definitely deserving of the Sixth Man of the Year award, representing the Boston Celtics. Jalen Brunson from the New York Knicks wins the Clutch Player of the Year award. Also, Steph Curry from the Golden State Warriors is the winner of the Twyman Stokes Teammate of the Year award. That award recognizes the league's ideal teammate who exemplifies selfless play and commitment and dedication to his team. So if anybody, kind of like one of the guys that's dedicated and with selfless play and also can continue to play at a high level and represent leadership, Steph Curry is definitely one of those guys. And Draymond Green, Steph's teammate from the Golden State Warriors, is the winner of the NBA Hustle Award. So congratulations to those gentlemen on winning those respectful season awards. All right, before we get on out of here, we want to say rest in peace to Dick Barnett. Of course, the NBA lost another member of its family. Dick was a two-time NBA champion for the New York Knicks. He played on two of the Knicks teams in the early 70s, 1970 and 1973. In addition to that, he was an NBA All-Star in 1968. And also, he had his number 12 retired by the New York Knicks. Barnett played not only for the New York Knicks, but he also played for the Syracuse Nationals, the Cleveland Pipers, and he played several seasons for the Los Angeles Lakers. Again, Dick Barnett passing away at the age of 88. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for watching.